Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time. And this is the Founders Report with Gary Fowler. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur. I've been involved in numerous unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce. And also, today we had an exit of a company called Yva.ai. So we believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities aren't. I'm the CEO, president, co-founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. And with that, I've got an incredible guest today, Aurel Pasztor. Did I say it right, Aurel? Your last name?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pasztor, yeah.
Pasztor. So he's got an incredible background as an investor, as an entrepreneur, and more importantly, he studied in Japan. And I'm going to ask him some questions about it because it's really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Why he would go from Hungary over to Japan. So with that, how you doing today, Aurel?
Very well, thank you. It's great to be here. Happy to see you again.
Good to see you. So tell me, how in the world did you decide to go to Japan? Did you like wake up one day and say, "Oh, I've been watching manga and I've decided that I want to change my life and I like Zoltron or Voltron or let's go
Well, almost like that. So it happened, yeah, by chance, pretty much. I had a friend at high school who was a Vietnamese Hungarian. So she somehow knew about this opportunity that the Japanese government was providing this scholarship for students, and it was a pretty good deal. You got some pocket money. You didn't have to pay anything, and then they gave you 1 year intensive Japanese course, and then if you managed, then you could go to a Japanese university. And I traveled quite a bit around
now,
Europe.
when you studied Japanese,
Yeah.
did you have to learn how to write kanji?
Yeah, that was all we did for a year, basically. So
how was that? Did you get good at it? Was it? Could you say now you're like the kanji guru, or how was it, and how is it?
I got pretty good at it. Yeah, I would think so. So we had to, of course, learn how to write by hand, and um, actually in Japanese, writing is one thing, but yeah, it's probably the hardest. But then even reading is pretty difficult because the certain characters have different pronunciations depending on
Oh my God.
yeah, where they are in the sentence, and it's quite complicated. There's also
So
three character sets.
how did you graduate from college when you read backwards too, right? From one side of the book to the other, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty tough that 1 year. Basically, we were in Osaka, in some suburb at the university campus. I was living right next to the building where we had these intensive classes every day. So it was only about that for a year. And then
And how intensive are the classes? Are they like we hear about? Are the Japanese that intense about education?
yeah, so the way they do it is they start to teach you Japanese in Japanese from day one. So they may say a couple of words in English if you really don't get it, but they don't. We didn't have like English Japanese textbooks or any other language, just Japanese. So they build it up, and yeah, we had about like six hours every day, and then homework, and that was it for a year. And then we got to a level where we were expected to go enter university and study in Japanese all the subjects. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's what I did, and I was the only foreigner in my class, and we only had a couple of foreign students in actually Tokyo. So I moved to Tokyo to a university called Hitotsubashi, which is very famous. Also, that time mayor of Tokyo graduated there. but there were many foreigners, so it was
So how was it like the dating stuff over there? How was it? Was it different?
yeah, very different, very different. One thing that was particularly um, new to me is that the appreciation of food, and even on when you went on dates, it seemed that the the biggest joy you can bring to someone is to, you know, invite them for and give them some good food, and then they're just so appreciative of the flavors and food that, you know, they were in. Yeah, some of these my dates were you know, crazy about food, and I
Really?
thought even
So now, what
more
did you
than
go out
me.
and have sushi, or did you have Kobe steak, or what did you? What was it like the big thing? Bird nest soup, or I don't know what they have. What is it? Blowfish. Did you have any of that when you were over there?
Yeah, once. That's one thing. You can get a lot of stuff, and of course, there's a huge variety of things. So you can get pretty good value for money type of sushi, and you can get like super high end, and yeah. So there's just a huge variety, and also you can get like huge steaks. So some guys are just crazy about meat, and you
Really?
can get super big steaks. And there's
How in
actually
the world do
also
people
like
stay so?
European cuisine is also at a very high level there, like French cuisine, Italian cuisine. They're very particular about details and taste. So it's a great city, Tokyo, to dine in.
Is it expensive? As a student, was it expensive to go out?
No, actually, you know, you can manage from a small budget. Of course, you don't have a lot of money to, you know, to splash in restaurants, but you can get good quality food, and you can go around places. So it was fine. Yeah,
That's
for a
amazing.
student. Yeah.
So what's the difference, like in the dating different? What were the dating differences? I was just curious because I heard my friends say that people are very conservative. Was it different like that in terms of the dating situation as a college student? Because I know here, I used to go to my fraternity and hang out, and we would have beer and talk and music. Was it like that in college in Tokyo, or how was that?
Yeah, pretty much. But actually, one strange thing is that there somehow women are expected to initiate. So they would come up to you and would tell you that, hey, please be my boyfriend. uh,
Seriously,
yeah, yeah,
be
yeah,
my boyfriend. It wasn't like let's go have a drink or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes it was awkward. Um,
And what does
and
that
then
mean, by the way? When somebody says that to you, is that like hello here, or does it mean
no,
maybe?
it's not. It's not like hello. Um, it's serious. So then you enter into that relationship. So it's, you know, there can be just like friendly chat, and you can have a friendly chat, of course, with anybody. But once you want to make it like a little more serious, then it's usually the girls who propose that.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So
Yeah,
would say, "Let me be my you want do you want to be my boyfriend?" Right? And then
yeah.
you do that, and then are you like married then when you do that? Is like at a contract
No,
or?
no, 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 no. It's just, you know, just students, you know, going out together. So then you are a couple. Then marriage is a different thing. Marriage is more like um, one very interesting thing was at the time I graduated there in 2006. So even that time, all my classmates actually before uh, like 1 year before we graduated, they were starting um, job job hunting, which was a huge thing. Like you would get like books on how to do it. You would have like separate sections in the department stores for job hunting suits, uh, because you there's all like very standard how you are expected to look.
Wow.
uh, you should cut your hair if you have like long hair and get piercings out and just look like very ordinary girls and boys the same. And there's a way how to do it. So how to behave, how to sit when you are at an interview. Everything is written down in books, so you are expected to read the books, how to do it, to research, and
Oh my
basically
God. This
find
was
a company for life. So even my classmates at 2006, they were thinking, eventually you're still like, this is a very big deal because you're looking for a company where you're gonna work for all your life. And I'm like, are you serious? You want to work for the same company all your life? Yeah. And in many ways, even like finding a wife or a husband is also similar. So people, of course, some people fall in love, but still many people look at it as as some sort of a process, and you go
like
out
work.
on dates, and this gokon thing.
Mm.
Gokon is like is when you go out on dates, but you don't, not just the two of you, but 6 people, 3 guys, 3 girls. So if I want to date some girl, I would ask her out, but I would also ask two of my friends or one of my friends, and she would also ask like one of her friends, and so it would be like a group date when you,
Why?
because there's then less pressure, so it's not maybe it's a little bit more comfortable, but
Wow, that's
but you would
well,
still know like who you're going
now who
for.
paid for the date then? When the bill came, who paid? You or the
That's
girl?
another thing that will surprise you. Everyone pays for himself or herself. There's no,
Seriously.
yeah, and there's no tipping at all in restaurants. No
And how's the
tips.
service?
Oh, great. It's everywhere. Service is great.
No tipping.
No
Everybody pays. So
tipping.
if you take a girl out on the date, she pays her own bill.
I mean, when I when I went out, of course I didn't do that, but you know, I'm a foreigner. I'm from Europe, so even the girls who go out with me, they sort of expect that, I guess.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. So we
Yeah,
got that. I was fascinated about that. So tell me a little bit about it. Let's talk about, the Portfolio Lion
Leon.
Capital
Yeah,
Partners, and talk about what are you guys doing and what's happening in Hungary right now? Is it, let's talk about the kind of
yeah,
investments you're making and what kind of companies you're targeting,
right.
etc.
Yeah, so it's a venture capital and private equity firm as well. So we have different funds, early stage and growth stage, and small cap private equity, and there are different teams working with these funds. So I'm with the early stage fund. We invest in seed and pre-seed in Central Eastern Europe. So we are based in Budapest, Hungary, and we invest from Bulgaria to Poland, basically Romania, Ukraine, Balkan countries, Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, Slovakia, Czech Republic. These are the
How
main
much do you
countries.
invest? What's a typical tech the size of the check?
Yeah, so it's from 500,000 to up to 3 million, but mostly one and a half in
Yep.
most cases, and then we, half of the fund is basically for follow-ups.
And then what about do you have to be are they have to be Central and Eastern European companies or can they be European companies?
No, it's just that we target like teams that come out of here. So one of the founders or some, there would be a team here. But no, we have many Delaware based companies and UK based companies in terms of entity, and no, they don't have to be here. But actually in Europe, it's not with us, but in Europe there are quite many. So actually most of the funds have among the LPs some European Union entity, and the EIF, the European Investment Fund, is a fund of funds. They also invest in smaller, like more local funds. So some of the funds actually want these companies to be registered in one particular country, but it's not with us. For us, we are private. We are actually backed by a Hungarian banking group, OTP Bank, which has like 11, which is present in 11 countries in this region. But we are not like part of that group. We are a separate entity with these different funds.
Now, how is the investment climate in Hungary? How are things right now?
A little bit cautious, I think. Actually, in early stage, I would say it's still pretty vibrant. So many funds have raised last year, starting new funds, bigger funds. So also from Western Europe, from Germany, UK, Scandinavia, there are funds looking at this region. Also the regional ones, they are quite active. So I think in this early stage, pre-seed, seed, Series A, I haven't seen a slowdown. What we feel is that the market is like cooling off from like Series B and C, and I'm curious like how this area or this region is now sort of perceived by US investors or people from looking at it from a further point of view. But so far it's been okay. It's been business as usual.
No, I mean, I think the VCs here, the family offices, are looking for opportunities. They see that there's untapped potential in places like Hungary, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, that have really been tapped. Obviously, the fog of war and the things happen concern everybody, right? We're concerned about the poor people in the Ukraine and some of the nasty stuff that's happening today, but people were looking for deals, right? They're looking for deals that are going to be the next Twitters. They're looking for deals that are going to be the next Slacks. They're looking for deals, they're looking for opportunities. And so the appetite's open. It's like looking for the diamond in the rough. It's not easy. If you're in, how do you find a company in Budapest, right? So door number one is, how do you find that qualified company? And do they have the right? A lot of times they're too conservative, or they have lower expectations, or they don't know how to go global. You got those kind of issues that you have to address with them. But I'd say all in all, I mean, people love it. They want to find those companies, because guess what? They are the next diamonds in the rough. And so we see this in Africa, in Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Egypt. There are 54 countries and 1.4 billion people. There are 206 million people just in Nigeria. Great opportunity for startups. But the thing is, you got to be out there and find them. And it's not so easy. I've been to Budapest a few times. It's not like the first thing you think about. I think it was the Mineral Springs, or the first thing I thought about. And the good beer, right?
Yeah, good beer, cheap beer. Budapest is pretty nice. It's most of the buildings were built in the very end of the 19th century, so it has this older feel. So I think it's a pretty city and good for having fun, but not yeah, not startups that would come to mind.
Well, I mean, the
At
thing is, it's
first.
like it's finding those diamonds in the rough, right?
Yeah.
It's be finding them where they, like I said, they're there, or other parts of Eastern and Central Europe. You know they're there. It's just finding them. And the other
Yeah.
thing is they're very modest. The one thing I don't know when you went to Japan, although they're modest too, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I have a little software company or a little services company, and we've only been doing it 3 years." And you find out they're like leaders in the field, and they're so modest that you can't you're shocked because what they're telling you is they're not good when the person's a leading expert. I mean, I've seen
Hmm.
a lot of times, and so getting them over the chasm. The other thing is
Yeah.
a mentality. I don't know what it's like in Prague today or in Budapest today, but it was very. It wasn't as optimistic as a place like Silicon Valley. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if it's because
mean,
of weather and beautiful weather or what, but it's like they're like, I don't know, maybe we can do it, and you're like, guys, like you're the best, you know.
yeah, maybe it still comes from the communist era, or but yeah, definitely we have a problem with that. So generally for the region, I think there's more tech talent, so engineers, but definitely lacking those skills and those guys who would have a global vision, and they would be going out there and with hustle. That's kind of still rare. So many founders would trust the product, but they would not be very confident when talking about it or selling it. And we even got this from some USVCs that product is good, but we don't see in the CEO the character who would go to these conferences and be the face of the product and disrupt the market. So oftentimes, actually, when you progress, the question comes up, if this guy can lead this company up to the very end. But there had
Well,
been
most of the
some
time
good
that doesn't
examples.
happen, right? Because
Yeah.
Bob Dorff and Steve Blank had this direct conversation with Bob, who wrote the Startup Owners Manual with Steve. We had this conversation, good friend. He said, when you get to 150 employees, the game changes. I don't know about you. I don't like running large companies. It's not
Mm.
fun. The spirit of entrepreneurship goes out, and then you're having meetings for meetings. Well, let's talk about the meeting we're going to have next month. It's like, why do you talk about a meeting for a meeting? It's crazy. So it takes
Yeah.
everybody has a different place. You got to find where your fit is. And part of the story, from my perspective, is let's talk about leading it up to a certain point, and of course, keep it open for other people to come in and lead the company. That's great. Look at
Mm.
companies like Cisco was started by a husband and a wife. You know,
Right. Right.
Valentine did the initial investment in the company, and look at it today. I mean, but they started out of their garage.
Yeah. It's an amazing
So
story.
yeah, amazing story. And the other thing is you got to know how to craft your deal. You got to be
Mhm.
sure when you're dealing with these VCs, these vulture capitalists sometimes, right? Present company excluded, they're going to cut their own deal and they're going to make it so it's in their favor. Maybe they have voting rights, etc. You got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself so you're not kicked out of the company 2 months after you get it funded. You
Right.
do all the work, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing in there for you, and you don't have an employment contract. Make sure you take care of cross your T's and dot your I's. That's part of your
Yeah.
job as an entrepreneur. It's not saying these people are bad, but they may have a different vision than you have. Like Zuckerberg, what did he do? He got 2 times voting rights on his shares, so it was hard for anybody to do anything against him
Hmm.
time. I
Right.
don't know what it's like today, but those are, you got to understand those are some of the rules, some of the games that are played and how to play them. But you're right. A lot of times people from your part of the world are really good technically. They're like most of them. They're really good, but they don't like presenting. They don't like speaking in front of people, and they're not enchanting. They're boring. They
Yeah.
talk about things like, well, today we have the best service in the world. And you're like, what? Today, we have the best service in the world, and we're going to change the world. And let me tell you how we're going to do it. They
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
part.
but actually, it's coming up, with all the like very good accelerators, programs, TED Talks, YouTube, all that. Actually, the how it is now, I see a lot of founders and a lot of companies coming out of accelerators with a pitch which is very well designed, the intonation and these little things that you just showed, it's all there, but it still feels a little bit,
Rough.
rough and a little bit like dramatic in a way. But um, I think people are picking it up. It's just takes a little bit of time, but I'm optimistic because you know few unicorns are also coming out of here, and once that happens, then many people get some money, even like maybe mid-level managers, and they want to start their own thing. This is what we see in Romania, for example, in Bucharest, with UiPath, and also a couple of companies in Czech Republic, Poland. Some are getting pretty big, and it's much easier for these guys to learn from someone who comes from here but learned it, and can show it how to do it, than just watching it on YouTube, or you know but also a lot of teams are going to or trying to go to the valley and pick it up
Well,
there,
if you know
like.
those teams, let me know because we love them like crazy. Part of the thing, we've been around the block a few times, and so those incredibly talented people that really want to make that dent in the universe, it's interesting for me. And I think there's an incredible opportunity in Budapest. I think there's incredible opportunity throughout Hungary, Central and Eastern Europe, but it's like having a diamond in the rough, right? You got to take it
Yeah,
out, or a Ferrari in the garage, as I say. You got to take
yeah,
that Ferrari out of the garage and show people you have it. You can't just keep it in there and say, I've got the nicest Ferrari in the world. And not taken only out of the garage, but you got to win the Formula One with it. It's a different,
right.
three different types of deals. One is to show it's art. Two is to show that you have it. Three is to win the race because when it's all said and done, it's about execution, isn't it?
Yeah, watch out for one company. Actually, one of our companies just raised $94 million, coming out of Budapest, called
Wow, I
Sion.
love that. That sounds great.
Yeah, IVP was leading this round, and they do like they have a very good anti-fraud service. So they work with Revolut and Wise and some big names. Uh, very good company, very good product. So we have really high hopes for them.
Yeah, well, let us know. I'm happy to help. I also have one that just raised one of the portfolio companies that came through my accelerator. XOXO Days just raised $30 million in employee engagement and reward space. So
Uh-huh.
let's keep in touch on these things. And guys, by the way, out there and ladies, this is the way it works. You share ideas, you share opportunities, you share thoughts because it's a lot of this is about networking. Who you know, who you can trust, and where you can find the deals. I used to say, Aurel, it's like fishing. When I was a kid, I grew up on a farm. We had a couple of lakes around, and my friends would say, Gary, why do you catch so many fish? Well, it's pretty simple. I would go to to the lake that was stocked. They would stock it with fish, and I would come back with a lot of fish. My friends would come back with one or none. And they said,
Uh-huh.
"Well, how did you catch the fish?" I said, "Well, you got to go where the fish are." So, going to Budapest, going to Hungary, going to Central and Eastern Europe, that's where there's a lot of fish. But the key is finding somebody just like yourself that has the keys to the door to be able to get in and understands the mentality and how it really works. So, we're coming up to the top of the hour. So, closing thoughts and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can. Yeah, so it's PortfoLion. You can reach me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Probably that's the easiest. So it's Aurel Pasztor, and happy to maybe put my contact details down here somewhere, and can also find me on Twitter, Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever. So I'm here and very happy to talk to anybody.
Well,
investor or
it sounds like you're everywhere, Al. It sounds like
yeah.
you're everywhere. It's really good. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join my show today. This is the Founders Report with Gary Fowler, and I'm the host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. Go out and get them because it is about execution. It is about getting off your hands and getting stuff done. So, with
Thank
that,
you, Gary.
thank you very much. And we'll be back in another 2 weeks for another exciting edition of the Founders Report with Gary Fowler.